Playing right now.
Power. Faster than a speeding bullet.
I'm Audrey Lou, and I freaking love comics.
Hello, I'm Chris Claremont, and I freaking love freaking comics. You got a problem with that?
Yo, my name is Donny Case, and I know the brand is I freaking love comics, but I fucking love comics.
Comics, movies, TV, video games, anime, your powers combined. I freaking love comics.
Live with Vito and Robert.
Ready and
Boom! We're here. We're live. No countdown.
whoa, hey, whoa! I wasn't expecting it to just be so sudden like this. What's up, friendly neighborhood nerds? This is Judah Rad. I'm here with Robo and Rhiiiiii, and today we have a very special guest. We're here with Jennifer, who is Comic Books Will Break Your Heart on Instagram, Comics Will Break Your Heart on YouTube, and I have your bio, so I'm going to read it real quick. Avid comic reader, recently relocated to Portland, a weird city that loves comics. Is it like Portlandia?
It is very much like Portlandia, but toned down a little bit. I was actually disappointed when I moved here that I didn't see all the funky characters, but so it's not exactly like it, but it's totally relatable.
How many times have you been to Zombie Donuts?
To Voodoo Donuts?
Voodoo Donuts, yeah.
Since I moved here maybe twice, there's a couple, I would say a big debate on the best donut place here, so you'll get into some arguments on the best donut place, but Blue Star is also really good, and I prefer them a little bit to Voodoo.
Do they have an hour-long line like Voodoo Donuts, though?
Mm-hmm.
Do they? Blue Star? Okay, all right.
Is donuts is donuts to Portland what pizza is to New York? Like, it's the thing?
I would say anything from a food truck is the thing.
That's it.
And
I was just gonna say that now.
There's so many vegan options. Like, I'm not vegan or vegetarian, but I just went to, I believe it's an Israeli place, and they had chickpea ice cream, vegan ice cream, and it blew my mind. So
That sounds delicious.
So I spent 11 years, and I'll actually be going back there after I'm done with the Air Force in Tacoma. So I've spent a lot of time in Portland, just kind of like that's. I don't know why, because it's just like another Northwest city. Go to another Northwest city, but something different about Portland is unique. It's awesome. I love the food trucks. I was gonna say that. Like, I'm not from there, but I was gonna try to guess what you can say. I'm like, bet you can talk about food trucks, and that's really like the staple. There's a whole like city block that's just cut out for food trucks. It's pretty awesome.
Anything you can think of is there. It's amazing.
And strip clubs, and food trucks. Where they have this weird. I don't know if it's like I don't know if it's common everywhere, but it's super normal to go to a strip club because they have like an awesome steak dinner there or something. It's
a requirement that all the strip clubs have to serve food. So one of the strip clubs got really popular because during the pandemic, everything shut down and only to-go food orders were allowed. Mm-hmm. So this strip club opened up Boober Eats instead of Uber Eats.
Yes.
And so dancers would actually come and deliver your food. Or they then turned it into a drive-through strip club food.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
Would they serve food in the nude or?
They would usually have pasties
on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, you know.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome.
The breast drive-through in.
There it is.
Everybody froze. Everybody froze after that joke, and I felt really awkward for a second.
That's how bad it was. Like,
cool.
You broke the internet.
Like, it was like I made that joke, and then everyone was just like, and I was like, So
really,
cool.
Judah, read the room. Read the room.
I know. I'd like to strike that joke from my memory.
Hold on, before you continue,
Okay.
We'll say who we got in here. We got La Tomate is back. He hasn't been here in a while. La Tomate from France. He's here. We got Player 1, Player 2's in the chat. No, just kidding. That's free. Nikolai Frele, Sugar Shack Best Donuts. Nikolai is repping Sugar Shack Best Donuts. You ever heard of that? Is that in Portland?
No,
Okay.
I haven't been there yet.
Got Michael Malone. Mama Malone is getting her beauty sleep, so no Mama Malone. Okay, I guess we'll settle for Michael Malone. All right. Well, welcome everybody in the chat.
True superhero.
Welcome, everybody.
You
So
know
let's go
he's
around.
a superhero. 100%.
Is he?
Michael
Yeah.
Malone, right? Yeah. What powers does he have?
I've never seen him in the same room as Batman. Is all I'm saying. I'm not saying he's Batman. I've never
makes
seen them in
perfect
the same room. Yeah.
So do you guys want to jump into news or what?
Let's go around the room and see what everybody's reading.
Okay.
I'll start since I'll go ahead and start. So I've been like, I was reading all this varied material. I was reading a lot of image stuff, and then I went down this rabbit hole where all I read is Valiant now, and I'm actually like going through the Valiant reading, like trade-based reading list. Like you see, I got this like mess.
So you were reading that before. Is there anything that's come up that's kind of like prompted you to really make sure you know it all?
Oh yeah, we. Thank you for bringing that up. As a matter of fact, so I freaking love comics was recently added to Valiant's press list. So now we're getting press releases from Valiant as well as exclusive interviews. So there's going to be a lot more of that down the pipeline. But I liked their comics before that happened.
That's right. No, that's true. I vouched for him. He was reading them
Is this
before.
a paid advertisement from them? Are they paying you to say this?
Sponsored by Valiant.
Speaking of comics, Valiant Comics, where superheroes come to life.
Every time we take a drink from something, there's like a Valiant logo.
Yeah.
Today. We should do like a non-sponsored sponsored episode. Just really sell out.
Yeah, totally sell out.
We should. Heather Antos talked a little bit about Valiant Comics. Like, did you agree with her, Judah, as far as like talking about the consequences, or was that a spin because she works?
They stay dead.
So ever since she mentioned, so she said, once you dead in Valiant, you stay dead. And I thought that was kind of cool. And ever since she mentioned that, I've been really looking for any type of resurrection, just because I want to see if she was bullshitting me or whatever.
PRing the move.
Mm-hmm. But no, I mean, there is a resurrection early on in the mythos, but it's kind of like so built into the story that it's obviously, it doesn't feel like editorial really missed this character, let's bring them back. It's more of like it's part of the story kind of thing. So that's really it. It's pretty true to form. I mean, it's definitely like there's more consequences, they're lasting consequences, and I like the universe because I feel like they're not so desperate to cross over all the time. Like when it happens, it's special. When like Bloodshot links up with the Renegades or like the Harbinger kids, it's exciting because it's like I haven't been primed for constant crossovers like every freaking Marvel book I have on this shelf over here, you know. So it's kind of it's cool. The last thing I read was Shadow Man, and it's baller. I highly recommend it to everybody. I know.
So Michael Malone in the chat goes ahem. He just put star ahem. So if I'm going to translate that, would you like to give a shout out to the master of the Valiant Universe and probably the main reason why you're reading it?
Yeah, what's up, Michael?
There you go. That's what you got. Michael Malone is one of the moderators, one of the administrators at the Facebook the Facebook groups, and he is known as the master of the Valiant Universe. So
he also just introduces people to fire constantly. He's one of those people where he's like, "Oh, you like horror? Here's this will blow your fucking mind."
And you read it, and it's always like, not with movies though. Sorry, Michael, not with movies. but when you open up a comic book for Michael Malone, I'm like, "Ooh, shit, this is dope." Now
I need to know what is happening in this gorgeous library that I'm seeing.
Yeah, we were talking about that
There's
earlier.
like such a full bookcase.
Are you
right there? Yes.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Thank you. Before I was just kind of like showing the layout because I've got mostly Image over here, and then I've got Marvel and DC. I'll tip this, and you can see I've got statues up here too. So just a little bit.
No
Just a
big
few.
deal. No big deal.
These are just my trade paperbacks and graphic novels. I've got a lot of long boxes under my bed. I live in a 400 square foot apartment, so this is basically my apartment.
Yeah, that's awesome. By the
that
way,
is awesome.
this is probably an offline conversation, but when I talk about like the Pacific Northwest, tell me if I'm wrong. Comic books and nerd culture is huge in the Pacific Northwest, especially in Portland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, and I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to relocate here, because I just relocated from Florida, and not that it's not nerdy, but it's different. It's a different type of nerdy, I guess. So.
Yeah.
Isn't their main superhero Florida Man?
Yes.
Florida Man,
like
yeah,
anti-hero kind of.
Yeah, Florida Woman's coming up though. I really like what they're doing with that title down there. Yeah. So
Yeah.
We just refer to her as Karen.
Karen, yeah.
So Jennifer, what are you reading these days?
So right now, I'm actually doing a 100 graphic novels in a month / Descent into Madness challenge.
Is it self-imposed or like a thing you're doing with your community?
It's mostly just me. I broke my foot a couple weeks, like about just over a month ago, and this local bookstore, Powell's, which is like a city block wide, several stories high, they had a really good deal on used books, so I went ahead and just bought tons and tons of graphic novels while I was hopped on painkillers, and I'm like, I need to find a way to get through all of these, and I'm like, you know what, let me see if I can do 100 in a month and just blow through most of them, and I've been doing 3 to 5 a day.
I was trying to do the math in my head, like how many is that a day? That's a lot.
3.3 or whatever, so I'm just doing some days 3, some days 5.
So you're doing like enclosed graphic novels, like not like multi-volume ones, right? I mean,
yeah,
trades and
multi-volume,
GMs.
yeah. Yep.
Okay, that makes sense.
Lots of different stuff. Some of the series I've read already, and like I was reading Descender in single issues, and then I bought volume 6, and then I'm like, okay, let me just go ahead and read 1 through 6. Paper Girls, the series ended. Let me just go ahead and read 1 through 6 of Paper Girls. So, and then some other like random stuff here and there.
Oh,
nice.
Rhee's
so
crushing.
many good titles.
Rhii officially loves you now.
I'm having a good time over here. Like,
I'm
yeah.
a big Image fan, so anything Image publishes, I'll read.
Nice.
Michael Malone wants to know if you've read Dark Satanic Bills.
Dark Satanic Bills.
Mills.
No.
I've seen the cover. I haven't picked it up. If he's asking you to read it, it's probably pretty good. Just so you know.
Yeah, I'll have to I'm like mind scribbling it right now. That'll have to be in August. So that'll be like my 1,000 books in August challenge.
Nice.
Aramis,
yeah, go ahead.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like IFLC as a team endorses Stone.
We'll get to you in a
comic book
second,
shopping.
Aramis.
You said, does what? Endorses?
IFLC 100% supports and endorses stoned and drunk comic book shopping.
Oh,
Yes.
100%. Yeah.
Like just
yeah.
getting buzzed up and going online and going like.
When we finally open
2
up our
weeks later,
store,
getting
it'll
a
be
mailbox.
like a faux pas to come in sober. And I apologize for anybody who's recovering, but it's like you have a lot of comic book stores just for you. I feel like you should be inebriated when you come into ours, just out of respect.
And
so.
you have to be on painkillers. I mean, I feel like comic book shopping is just the best way to spend that time.
100%.
And here in Oregon, I'm not sure about Hawaii and Australia, but here in Oregon, weed is legal, and it's recreational, so I can just like walk to my dispensary, then walk to the comic book store. Right now I'm hobbling places, but
You're right. They call you hip hop for a reason, so yeah.
I'll leave the comic book store sometime. Like once in a while, I'll leave the comic book store and I'm like, fuck, what did I just do? Like I have like this big stack. I'm like, what was wrong with me? Like this is gonna suck later this month.
Yeah.
But
then again,
at least it's not.
maybe.
At least it's not meth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
All you
true.
have to do is think like, I'm not selling weapons to a terrorist organization, so what's wrong?
Yeah.
Why don't judge me? Yeah, just think of something way off the deep end. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Aramis Murad is a moderator that we just in the Discord chat, but he's also an administrator on a huge community on the Marvel subreddit. apparently huge fan of Paper Girls. He's in the chat. Paper Girls, yes, with like 15 S's. So that's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love stories where like you know someone whose name isn't a thing. Like my sister's name is Erin, and so every time I read Paper Girls, I'm like, this shit's dope. You know, like, do you ever read stories with Robo and Judah in it, and you're like, fuck yeah, that's.
The only other Judah story is the story of the Hanukkah story of the Maccabees. So.
I mean, you guys know that story, of course, everybody.
I mean, well, check this out. So
if you don't, maybe you need to do a little self-reflection on why.
So the modern American superhero is largely a product of the Jews. And if you go back far enough in Jewish history, look at Judah Maccabee, that's really like the first Jewish superhero. So you could almost look at Judah Maccabee as the proto-superhero. So just a little...
This has been my TED Talk. Thanks for coming.
Yeah. That's awesome. Uh-oh, he's frozen. He's frozen. Hey, while he unfreezes, Rhi, what are you reading?
Oh man, I've been like going.
He's good.
Do you
He's
ever
good
have
now.
those weeks where you just read everything? Like I don't know, in that stack that you held up.
No, the answer is no.
Before, did you? Was it? Yeah.
That's why I have so much unread shit. I would love one of those weeks.
I keep going through, like, I'll just randomly pick something up. There's so much stuff I bought on Kindle that I've just never gotten to for some reason. So I'm trying to like get to it now. But yeah, Paper Girls is fucking great. What was the other one you mentioned where I was like, yes,
Defender.
Jeff. Yes.
Jeff
Jeff.
Lemire is another one of my favorite authors. I'll read anything by Jeff Lemire.
I agreed, 100%. I don't think I've ever read anything bad from that guy. Like,
have you written Jeff Lemire? Have you emailed Jeff Lemire, Judah?
I like Descender. I like his Moon Knight a lot as well.
Yeah.
Have you emailed him?
I have emailed him. He has not gotten back to me yet.
I don't know why Jeff Lemire hates
that
us,
would be
but
a
whatever.
dream.
Okay, whatever.
We should have this team for that interview. That would be amazing.
That would be
Can you
awesome.
imagine?
That would be awesome.
Pick up stacks of his books.
Did you say what you're reading though? Or are you not reading anything? Did you dodge the question on purpose?
I guess I'm reading some of these.
Ooh, nice.
Some old school stuff. All right.
So this is like 72 and 74, I think these came out, and they're like amazing. They're so
awesome.
camp, and there's one where he has a trip, and he's just like he eats some berry, and he's just like tripping balls the entire story. So
that's probably how it was written too, written and drawn, just tripping balls.
That's it. That's
awesome.
exactly right. Got to draw what you know, write what you know.
So I'm more like I feel like these two are more cerebral than me. It reminds me of when I was a kid going through Blockbuster trying to I'm gonna rent some video games. I didn't look at look at the reviews and all right, this is the game I should play. I'm 10 years old going and looking at these video games and I'm like, where's the coolest gun? Where that looks awesome. So now here I am, 40 years later, I'm like, I see Death Metal come out, and I see that cover, and I see Wonder Woman and it's shiny. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm buying that. So, but then I hadn't read the Metal and the Batman Who Laughs and all of that, so I'm like, okay, I gotta read this. So now I'm kind of working my way through that. I also picked up this past week Discover Country Volume 1 just dropped, and Soule and Zack Snyder wrote that. Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
That came out this week.
Scott Snyder.
Yeah, Scott Snyder and Charles Soule. And then you have, I don't know how to pronounce it, but Kamen Coley is the artist and some other people. I like the quote on it. Robert Kirkman says, "The Walking Dead, more like the first undiscovered country. Don't sleep on this book." So I'm like, okay, sold. Plus, I like Soule.
All right.
So,
Kirkman?
yeah.
Nice. Have you guys read Outcast by Kirkman? It's so good. It's so great. I feel like it's underrated.
What's the premise?
I haven't read it.
It's about demon possessions. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's really fun. You should read it.
It's pretty gruesome. There's some very disgusting moments in it.
Give me that disgusting shit.
Oh, disgusting.
He just released Negan Lives. The proceeds are going to benefit LCSs that are hurt during Corona, which is really cool. But I just got done binging the entire Walking Dead series because I was way behind the curve on that. So I was found the trades. It's the best. Like it reads itself. It's really a page turner. But then when I went to pick up Negan Lives, I also had to grab Battle Pope by Robert Kirkman.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that cover.
It's just the name and the cover. The title and the cover was enough to sell me, and then I was like, oh, and it's Robert Kirkman. So
hey, good night, La Tomate. Hey, I know it's my dog almost puking in the background. Hey, good night in France. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for watching when you did.
If you don't mind me asking, was your binge read of The Walking Dead prompted by a global pandemic by any chance?
Now that you mention it, maybe. It's weird how that works out because as I was reading it, I couldn't help but apply it to reality while I was reading it. But it was prompted. So the truth is, the boring answer is it was prompted by I was on eBay and I found the whole run for less than $100.
Yeah. I mean, you say that's the boring answer, but when I hear that, I'm like, fuck, I wish I had seen that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Such a good deal.
But it was great. I couldn't put it down. There's I've read a lot of. I wouldn't say it's my favorite series ever, but it's on the short list. It's definitely a series where as soon as I read the last page of a trade, I'm throwing it, fucking grabbing the next one. I'm staying up till 5 a.m. Can't focus on anything else in life.
Violently, he's like, give me the next one. And he's
sad. He
doesn't treat his books very well.
It's really epic 80s montage.
I got to the 30-second trade paperback, which is the last one, and as soon as I put it down, I was like, "That's it." Fuck. Yeah. And then I raced to and then I'm done. And then I raced to the comic book store to get Negan Lives when it came out, and I was like, I finished that, and I'm like, that wasn't enough. Now it's done. So
my video's out. You guys see me, but nobody else can. We'll just go ahead and keep going like normal. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I was the same as you, Judo. I got the 4th compendium for my birthday last year, and it just kind of sat. I knew it was the ending, so it just sat in my bookcase, waiting, looking at me for a few months. And then the start of this year, I was like, "It's time," and I sat and read the whole thing, and it was nice. It was a nice ending.
And the show blows, just in my opinion. I mean, maybe you got. I don't know.
I love Carol though. Carol's so fucking lit.
Some people like it. Michael likes it. I think it becomes. I think there was a point where you had the explosion and it really just kind of reached everybody, right? And you're right though. You have to be really invested and be. I would say I'd probably call you a super fan, right? It kind of reminds me of video games like Fallout 76, for example. There's a lot of people, re-included, that hate Fallout 76, but I'll tell you what. There's level 400 dudes on there right now that have loved it the whole time. And I think Walking Dead kind of did that to himself. Did that to itself where it's like, here's the product and this appeals to the masses. But then as we go, it kind of whittles it down. It's like, look, now we're kind of getting niche here. And then if you're not in it, then you're not going to like it. So, I don't know. I fell off.
Too many long conversations. You read the book, there's a page where it's the same conversation from the show of man, it really sucks that we have to be bad people in order to survive. But it's that's a very short interaction in the book. And you watch the show and that's 10 minutes of dialogue in the dark outside at night of two characters having the same goddamn fucking
It goes like this.
Opinion on this show.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I feel like it should have been done in black and white.
The show?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay.
To match the comic, yeah.
Yeah, I have ADD.
Hear going.
Yeah. well, it goes. I have ADD, so I'm like, if you didn't have color, I would have fell off probably more seasons ago. But I don't know.
That's a shame because black and white cinematography is a real skill that has dissipated.
For sure. Yeah.
And it would be
Did you ever see The Lighthouse?
To see it shot for shot, like Sin City.
Did you ever see The Lighthouse?
No, I haven't seen it yet. Is that the Willem Dafoe one?
Yeah. Willem Dafoe and the Twilight dude who's going to be Batman.
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson,
yeah. He, I don't know, so Mylene, she has an Instagram called The Cinema Babe. She does movie reviews and stuff. She did a review on Lighthouse. The only part I saw was him masturbating to a mermaid with a giant vagina. So
Spoiler alert.
if that doesn't get
Classic.
you to watch the movie, I don't know.
I'm looking at Robert Pattinson's Wikipedia, and the only thing on the Wikipedia is the Twilight dude who's going to be Batman.
Yeah, that's it. It doesn't even have his name in the top title part. It doesn't say Robert Pattinson. That's in the body. It goes the Twilight dude who's going to be Batman. That's what you got to search for. So I don't know if you guys knew that.
I
At the
feel
beginning.
bad. He's so much more than that.
He is. He's super talented. Most of these big actors are talented. That's why whenever we start talking about like who's going to be good at this character, I've said this before and I'll say it again. When we heard that Heath Ledger was going to be the Joker, the internet was full of teen bop heartthrob dude. Like, are you kidding me? And he nailed it, right? Like he is the Joker now. So whenever I hear stuff like, oh, the Twilight dude, that skinny guy, blah blah blah, I'm like, bro, these are actors. Their whole profession is to pretend to be somebody else. Like, it'll be fine.
Can I bring in a
fine.
controversial topic
Go.
change?
Go.
Because I want to know what everyone thinks of this, right? Did everyone see Halle Berry's status on Twitter this week about playing a trans character?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
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 So this is like what I was getting schooled on in one of our lives last time, is like I was saying, what did I say? LGBT people should be able to play straight and gay characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel the same about straight characters. But then I had, like, obviously Ainsley in the chat was like, oh, let me explain to you why it's better to have LGBT people playing LGBT people. And I was like, okay, maybe there's something I'm missing. Now I feel like it's the same with this trans thing. I'm like, but if you're an actor, that's like saying you can't do accents and shit. I don't know. Part of me is like...
Well,
aren't we supposed to have-
here's my opinion on it, and then Judah, you go. We'll take turns here. Here's what I'll say.
Yeah.
I say that my default view, right, and this doesn't mean it's the right one. It doesn't mean everyone has to share it. But my default view is we have an oppressed, a marginalized population, and we have the population who has power, right? So for example, anytime I hear, but if a man did it, it wouldn't be. I'm like, okay, the man didn't get the right to vote in the last 100 years. Like, you know what I mean? It's like we're not the marginalized population. So when I say, okay, sorry. So when I just got your text, I don't know how to not reference that. But when I look at it and I say, maybe, yeah, if all things being equal and all things being fair, sure, got it. But all things aren't equal. And so when I look at Halle Berry backing out, when I look at the voice of another big one is the voice in Big Mouth, where the Netflix show that's about puberty, the cartoon show about puberty and stuff like that. There was one of the characters is black and white, and the voice actress who is the annoying sister on Parks and Rec, she backed out because she's not black, and a lot of people were like, who cares, blah blah blah. I'm like, these are actors that are saying, you know what? They're not getting fired. They're saying, hey, if I'm going to be on Twitter and say I'm progressive, maybe I need to put action behind it. And so they're saying, hey, there are trans actors out there, and they are a marginalized community, and I feel compelled to step out and let a trans actor come in. Now, does that mean a trans actor can't play a straight person? Well, 99% of roles, 99.9999% of roles is straight. So clearly, and straight aren't the oppressed actors. So what were you going to say, Jessica? Jennifer, sorry.
Close enough. What I would also have to say to that is I think that there is some truth to, like, an actor, especially if you're playing different roles, like, you know, play what you can. However, when we see in this country, we see extreme violence against trans women and trans people in general. When we see, for instance, I think of Eddie Redmayne, and he played the something girl. I can't recall the movie. What I think that most of the population ends up seeing is they see him, a cisgender male, play a trans character, and they see a man in a dress. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's really important to not see trans women as a man in a dress, because that is not what they are at all.
That's right.
So considering the extreme violence that trans people do see, and especially when I think that for trans Black women, the average age is 35. I'm not sure what age everyone here is, but if I think about if someone told me, like, you as a person, your average age would end in the next couple years, that to me is fucking heartbreaking. And I think that having trans actors play trans roles is extremely important for that reason, and especially because, you know, we've had trans characters in very major roles for a very long time, but they aren't played very well, and a lot of times the story is just about tragedy. Now, I think trans people, obviously, we all see tragedy in our life, but when I think about the extreme violence that we do see against trans people, people who are non-binary, people who exist outside of that, like, cisgender life, I think it's very important for them to not have to be scavengers to see who they are on screen. And queer people, we do have to be scavengers for, I see that person on screen and they look like me, and we owe it to them, I think, as a society, to not let them not see themselves on screen and actors on screen, as well as not ending in tragedy. So I think that we do need to have more queer people on sets playing queer roles. A great documentary that I would highly recommend anyone to watch is Disclosure, and it goes into that. So several trans actors come in and talk about that. Disclosure is a really good documentary.
On Hulu, Netflix?
I believe it's on Apple TV, I believe. That's
Disclosure. Okay. All right, cool.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So thank you for letting me go on a very long rant. I apologize for getting a little bit wordy, but
long rant is my middle name.
That's the kind of stuff
it's what we do.
Also, I mean, come on, you're talking to the long rant.
Rhi is very succinct, and she'll tell you what she feels, and she spits it out, and she has to suffer with long ranters like me and Judah, so you're in the club.
Brings me so much joy.
You're in good company.
When shit is being well said like that, I'll just sit there and listen to it for as long as it takes.
I'm gonna start bringing up news items.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Does anybody have checked that? No.
Nope.
Okay. Cool. All right. So Marvel is going to print. Remember when Marvel canceled a bunch of their print books to go digital for Corona? Well, I guess they're going to start printing all those books that they said they weren't going to print. They've reversed their decision about digital-only releases of lower-selling titles during the pandemic, which is actually a bad thing and a good thing. I think it's a good thing because our buddy Alex P. wrote a one-shot that was going to that was only going to be digitally released, and I kind of want it, so that's cool. But the downside is I feel like it's just part of a larger trend of everybody saying, well, I guess the virus is just going to vanish, and we're just continue our lives as normal. So, I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
So what I have up on now is Hawkeye Free Fall. 5 and 6 are back in. They were going to get canceled. Force Works number 3. That was going to get canceled. So that was tweeted by Matthew Rosenberg. Just to give some context on why I threw that image up there. That was part of the whole announcement. But I think it's good. I think it's great.
I don't know if you saw DC announced, hey, we're going to be, or how did everyone like the end of these series that ended? And there was a lot of backlash against DC because everyone was like, I would have read it if I had it, because DC also canceled, and I can't think of all the titles off the top of my head, but there were like 4 or 5 titles that they just went digital only, that only had 2 or 3 issues left. And so I think that maybe Marvel is learning from DC's mistakes, and I think that this is a really good, because I don't know your opinions on it, but my personal opinion is DC's pulling a lot of shit right now that is not making comic book fans happy, not making comic book store owners happy. And I think that this would be a really good way for Marvel to sweep in and be like, we're doing everything that DC is not right now. So I think this is part of that.
Do you think DC tried to exploit the pandemic a little bit by switching distributors?
Yeah.
100%. And yeah, and especially thinking about comic book store owners, because on the East Coast of the U.S., you're basically ordering from your competitor, Midtown Comics, who is now shipping all of your DC comics. And I can't recall the one for the West Coast here, Lunar maybe. But Midtown Comics, which is a huge comic book store in New York, comic book stores are now getting comic books from them with print comic books that have advertisements for Midtown Comics. So it just feels like a stab in the back to comic book store owners. Yeah.
Agreed.
So Glynis is in the chat. And what's up to Glynis?
Hi, Glynis. And Polly.
Yeah, they said that they need Star real bad. So that was actually one of the main things that I was looking forward to, because that was one of the things that I had heard was Star was moving to digital. So they had come out maybe 2 months ago. Marvel came out with a list of things that they weren't going to print anymore and go straight to digital, which I'm like, okay, that's kind of sad, because it's kind of like the death bell. It's kind of like, okay, you're going to digital, which means you're probably going to stop publishing it here soon. And I love Star. If you guys haven't picked up Star yet or started reading it, Star is dope. Like she's learning how. She has one of the Infinity Stones inside her, and it's not like this all like, oh, now I'm a badass character. Like, I don't know how to use this power. It's great. Pick up Star.
I'll check that out.
So Funko just unveiled their San Diego Comic-Con 2020 exclusive pops. You know what's weird? San Diego Comic-Con is happening digitally.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
It was actually kind of confusing to me. I was like, wait, what's all the panel? What is it happen? Oh, this is a huge digital thing. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And they just released their list of Funko Pop exclusives. I included the link. I don't know if you guys can see it. There's some cool looking Funko Pops. I know that they have new like X-Men. There's like zombie Wolverine. There's like a whole bunch of different shit. So it looks pretty cool. I'm not a serious Funko Pop collector, but I have the ones that matter.
Does anybody know anybody who hates Funko Pops? Like Luke, our local dealer, if you will. He hates Funko Pops.
Gatekeepers and toxic fans hate Funko Pops. It's like a thing.
Is it really?
Totally a thing.
Yeah. Luke is neither one of those.
I mean, like, I have my Kirk Hammett right here that I love.
Cute.
Not only do I have old Pennywise, but I also have new.
He's like, I don't have a lot of Funko Pops. I just have the ones that matter here. Let me show you all 27 of them.
Let me show you all 50 fucking 7 of them.
Yeah.
But
when Pops came out, I was like, I don't want any, but now I have like 20. I have like all the Saga ones.
I have 2.
Oh, nice. Do you have Lion Cat?
I've got 4 Lion Cats.
Cute.
Because there's a pink one. There's one that's normal, one with blood. There is a glow in the dark that I think was San Diego Comic-Con from like 2-3 years ago. So yeah, there's a couple.
Polly live from St. Petersburg, Russia says, I hate Funko Pops. So the law of I can't think of the word right now. Association, maybe. I guess, Polly, you're now a gatekeeper comics getter. So I don't know what to tell you.
Gatekeeper comics getter.
Automatically.
I saw online. I might go out and buy these. I don't know if they were just released, but it was at least within the last 12 months. There's the original Lee Kirby 5 X-Men in Funko Pop form, so you can get like Cyclops, Iceman, Beast, Jean Grey, or Angel. So I definitely feel like I need to own that.
I have 2 Rick and Mortys and 1 Power Ranger. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm gonna go see if I can find some. I'll be back.
Oh, okay.
I want to see if I have a Funko in my apartment or not.
Okay.
Oh, well, I got a Power Ranger one that I was supposed to get signed by the Green Power Ranger, and I ran out of money, and the ATM outside was dead, and I'm like, but how am I supposed to get this signed? And that was it. He shook my hand, so that's good.
Jason David Frank.
Yeah, Jason David Frank. Yep. Find Jesus, and everything will be right in your life.
So we already kind of touched on this, but Robert Kirkman has no. Oh, look at
Is that Simpsons? Yeah, there it is.
Tagged.
Wonderful.
That's awesome.
So the Robert Kirkman just released his Negan Lives thing, and then he immediately comes out right afterwards. He makes an announcement. So he did an interview with ComicTropes, which is one of my favorite YouTube channels. It's my second favorite after ours, but he talked about how he's got no more plans. He's got no more plan. Yeah, sponsored by Valiant. There's no more plans for Walking Dead. But if you read Negan Lives, it ends on like a cliffhanger. Like it feels like number one of like at least a 3-parter. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like weird. It sucks. I'm sure he'll eventually continue it because he can't help himself. But yeah,
Can I ask what happens? Are we gonna spoil it?
Well, it takes place. I don't know how much of The Walking Dead you read, if you read all of it or whatever, but
I read the whole thing. Yeah.
You read the whole thing. So you know when he gets banished after the Whisperer War, he gets kind of banished, and he just goes and lives out his lonesome days by himself. It takes place during those days, so he's kind of like old man Negan, living by himself. He's pretty much the protagonist and sympathetic character at this point, and it's about him like living depressed. Like he goes out to he ends up getting like attacked by some roving band, and of course he fucks them up. And then the chick, or the woman of the group, he ends up teaming up with her, and he decides he's going to go bury his wife Lucille. So they go on like an adventure to go bury the real Lucille. But then it ends. It's like the adventure begins and then it ends. So there's got to be another issue.
And the announcement is like the news headline is that he's not planning any more. He said
so. He said, "I can't say I'll never return to Walking Dead," and then in a tongue-in-cheek way, he was like, "Especially if I start hurting, I'm definitely going to have to go back to the well. But I have no concrete plans at this time." So it's no plans, but I don't think that means it's not going to happen. He also talked some mad shit about Marvel, which I thought was kind of awesome. He went into detail about how he had a lot of conflict with Tom Brevoort and how when he was writing for Marvel, so he was writing for Marvel, but he was also writing Walking Dead. He's already a millionaire because he's got one of the most successful Image series ever, where he's getting the majority of the profits, and he's got 2 shows going on that he's executive producing. So he was working at Marvel, but he didn't really need that job. He was doing it for fun, you know what I mean? And I feel like that really pissed off Tom Brevoort, because Tom Brevoort started like posts, he would take his scripts and he would change things, or he would add word bubbles or thought bubbles onto his covers and stuff. And when Robert Kirkman went to him and was like, "Hey man, I just don't think it really serves the story for you to do that," Tom Brevoort like lashed out at him and was like, "Hey, how about you worry about writing the story and I'll worry about the fucking promotion," And that's when Robert Kirkman was like, "Yeah, I don't actually need this job, so peace."
So I will say this much: I know that there was another brand that referenced, and we'll just say the thing now. It's ComicTropes that did the interview with Kirkman. Check out that whole interview because he puts it into full context. It's actually a really good interview. The ComicTrope dude was on Twitter actually this morning or yesterday. That was like
Chris.
Yeah, if you're going to reference my show, at least link people to it so they can get the full context. So, as you were saying that, I was like, "Hey, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. I'll do that, Chris."
Yeah, he said it. Nice.
Yeah. Michael Malone says, "I'd like to think I'd be like Negan in The Walking Dead." What? During the apocalypse, but I'd
be like Negan in The Walking Dead and have a harem of what? That's not what he said.
Michael, I don't think you thought that one through. Polly says, "Nice try, Judah. Not even the original X-Men can get me to buy Funkos. Not even."
I call bullshit. I call complete bullshit. If the original fucking X-Men materialized in this universe and approached Polly with those Funko Pops, she would absolutely take them.
No, I think she means you mentioned that they were coming out with Funkos that were the X-Men.
Oh.
She's not going to even buy those. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought she was going.
If the original X-Men materializes real people and sold her Funkos, maybe then.
I thought she just went way off the deep end. Excuse me. Sorry.
What were you saying, Rhi?
I understand the major Funkos market. It's like, and you guys will probably agree with me, it's something that non-nerdy people can gift to nerdy people
Yeah.
because they're like, oh,
Yeah.
she's into those comics and
comics,
stuff.
like-
It's like for nanas and
I heard something about Silver Surfer. Let
aunties
me.
and stuff. Yeah, that's it. Like
Here's a toy. It looks like
I'm
Silver
wondering
Surfer.
due to how many of yours were gifted, because I know I definitely didn't spend money on this. This is gifted to me.
You didn't spend money on Jeff
Yes,
Brannigan.
I have plenty of
Who would've
friends who
thought?
actually
I feel like that's how
Michael
I got
retracts.
about like 5 of mine. Like
There
a
you
friend
go.
of mine gifted me Locutus of Borg because I love Star Trek, and that's actually the most like valuable one that I have.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, nice.
If you're gonna give me a Funko, make sure it's valuable. There you go.
Yeah, that's it. That's my future. That's my, what is it? What are those babies
Retirement
called?
plan.
Beanie babies?
Yeah.
Come
Beanie
on.
babies.
How cool is original, like, Incredible Hulk number 181 Logan with the fucking whiskers?
That's pretty dope. That's pretty
I
dope.
remember seeing, I don't know if you guys ever saw this on Reddit, like divorce courts in the 1990s with Beanie Babies being divided up between couples.
so funny.
Like,
It's funny, they spent more on the trial than the actual Beanie Babies are worth
yeah.
now.
Miley was talking about them. She goes, "I have a box of Beanie Babies that are like super valuable." I'm like, "You don't
not.
say."
No.
Have you looked at this?
They're all-
Have you-
They're only valuable as raw material, like raw cotton and
So
fabric.
in the post-apocalyptic world where the fabrics industry is completely down, if you have a bunch of Beanie Babies, like
Beanie Babies.
boom, I have cotton, I have fiber, I have cloth. This is great. You're a million.
Imagine if the apocalypse like started in the 90s. It'd be like Beanie Babies as a form of currency and VHS. Like that's
Yeah.
almost a world that I want to live in, like Mad
Yeah.
Max style.
Yeah,
It
that's
would be
awesome.
like, did you rewind the tape? Did you rewind the tape?
Be kind, rewind.
I have enough VHSs to maybe buy like a sandwich. I don't know, depending on their value.
That's right.
Sweet. I like
Next
it.
headline, go.
Oh, okay. Hey, so this is one that I'm so excited. Donny Cates just
I'm
announced.
surprised it took you this long to talk about it.
Because I feel like people are starting to accuse me of being some kind of like sycophantic fanboy. So I'm trying to like, well, I guess I am. Whatever.
A, us, and then B, we are. So just embrace it. Just
Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman just announced The King in Black.
yeah,
Holy fuck.
yeah.
That's gonna be their big Venom event. I don't know if
That's
it's gonna
right.
be the capstone Venom event, but their Venom run is so dope, and this
Yeah.
is Null
God, it's so
returning.
It's so good.
If people haven't seen the trailer, they need to go watch it on Twitter, because the way they talk shit about, they're like, well, who's that character that we created together? That real fucking badass. And they've got all these like panels coming up. It's
Have you read
so
any?
good. Have I? Or
I was asking Jennifer, but
Jennifer?
Yeah, yeah. I don't read Venom, but I've read a couple other things, like anything more like creator-owned stuff.
like God Country and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Donny Cates is so awesome. We love Donny Cates
we love
in
him.
the most platonic way. And I mean, if he wants to be more, then that's fine. It's,
Yeah.
we can see.
We
We
met
can
him.
talk.
We met him once, and we had drinks with him. So basically, we're like best friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
He's in
Totally.
the chat somewhere right now.
He's probably
Yeah.
watching this. I mean, let's be real. He's probably watching this live right now.
Yeah. So hi.
Yeah. Hi, Daddy.
He took
You know.
off our socials yet.
Real question. If Donny Cates started a cult, would you join it?
He already is, and we have shirts. The advocates.
Can you guys
There
read
we
this?
go.
Yeah.
There
Donny-
we go.
There it Make something
Donny
exist that
Cates
did not
cult
exist before. Love yourself.
Do dope shit.
Do
I
dope
like
shit.
it.
Read comics. Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
I'm disgusted.
So in the non-hypothetical question, would you join his cult? The answer is yes.
Yes. I have. So, let's see. Oh, this is kind of a huge. This is really dominating the headlines lately. I'm kind of indifferent to it, but you guys can talk about it. So the Arrowverse's new Batwoman, Ryan Wilder. She's a new character. She's an original. And
She's bisexual. She's not a lesbian.
She's bisexual. Let me read her description. She's likable, messy, a little goofy, and untamed. She's also nothing like Kate Kane, the woman who wore the batsuit before her. With no one in her life to keep her on track, Ryan spent years as a drug runner, dodging the GCPD and masking her pain with bad habits. A girl who would steal milk for an alley cat could also kill you with her bare hands. Ryan is the most dangerous type of fighter, a highly skilled and wildly undisciplined. An out lesbian, athletic, raw, passionate, fallible, and very much not your stereotypical all-American hero. Sold.
Out bisexual, but yeah.
Sold.
Yeah.
Well, this is the release. So they say lesbian in the press release. So
her quote, herself is, I'm sorry. The character's lesbian. Okay, the actress is bisexual. Got it. All right.
Yeah. Sorry, I only said it because it was a thing in the community that people would bring it up again. It's that same thing we were sort of talking about before with the trans representation. People like, shouldn't it be?
There's got to be a scale. There's got to be a scale though. It's got to be less. It's got to be less of an offense for a bisexual woman to play a lesbian than it is for a non-trans person to play a trans person.
It's easy to me. People to the right of us will say that we make things overcomplicated, but me in the left will say like I also think that people make things too complicated. And for me personally, the only thing you have to look at is power dynamic. When Jennifer Lopez played Selena, a Puerto Rican woman playing a Mexican, where's the power dynamic? Like it doesn't. The power dynamic doesn't exist. They're both Latina women, and she's a Latina actress. She played a Latina singer. Okay, that's fine. If you are a Mexican who's mad at that, I would say your feelings are valid, 100%. But that's not the same as a white woman playing Selena, because the power dynamic's not there. So if she is in the LGBT community as a bisexual woman, and I say this understanding that I'm a cis het male, so take it for what it's worth. To me, that power dynamic's not there. So it's like she's in the community, you know. Okay, maybe you'd rather a lesbian, but at least she's bisexual, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the same
You're
conversation
muted,
when people. Me, I'm muted.
No.
Oh, I was.
Yeah,
Sorry.
go ahead.
I think that was the same conversation that I had with people talking about the actors in Black Panther. They're like, well, why do you not have an entirely African community? And then it became, well, Wakanda's not even real. And
That's right.
100% it comes, I agree. It comes down to power dynamics. And so, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
For me, if I could just like speak on it real quick, I'm okay with indifferent. I'm okay with stuff, and I think indifferent is a valid case to make. I think that I'm an opinionated kind of person anyway. So if we talk about trans actors and their role, let's be real. Let's talk frank for a second. I'm not trans. Nobody close to me is an out trans person. Has made it known at least. And so if I were super honest, I don't have an emotional, I'm a human being, so I don't have an emotional hang, right? So for me, when I look at the whole Halle Berry backing out, I don't have an emotional hang on that. I look at it, I could form an opinion based off of my perspective, but really my perspective doesn't really mean much, and it doesn't mean much to me.
Mine is like it seems to have made a lot of people happier that way, so that's good enough for me.
Sure, right? And if we talk about the premise of harm and all that stuff, it's like okay, the principle of harm, so we're good. But so Javicia, I don't know how to pronounce her first name. Javicia, I think it's Javicia or Javica, I don't know. Leslie, the actress. When I look at that, there's a lot of things, and it's not just racial, it's not just representation, but again, I don't like the bullshit. I see a black woman coming in wearing the cowl. I'm like, first of all, Black Lives Matter, fucking awesome. So I'm not gonna hide that. I'm not gonna pretend like that doesn't make me happy on its face. But then let's go further. When I watch Joker, right, the movie, I'm taking what I know of the Joker, and I enter into the movie theater with, all right, let's see if this movie matches my view of the Joker. If I watch Batman, if I watch any Marvel movie, I come in there with preconceived notions about what it should be. And even if I try to be like, I'm not going to do that, I'm gonna. What's awesome about this is an Arrowverse unique character. I get to go in with no preconceived notions, And now we get to see it. Now, if I say the show sucks, it doesn't suck. It probably will suck because of the writing, because I'm not a fan of CW shows anyway. Hopefully this is different. But I get to enjoy this on its face. And I think that's awesome.
I agree. Definitely. Whenever Batwoman's one of my favorite characters, and when the CW, and I've never watched any CW show and really enjoyed it. And when Batwoman initially got announced as a show, I was pumped. I saw Ruby Rose cast, and I'm like, okay, a queer actress playing a queer character, I'm in. But then I did not like the show and couldn't get past episode 2. So now with this new casting, I'm like, I'm going to try again. And, fool me once, fool me twice. But I'm still going to go in and I'm going to try to be excited.
Give it a go, yeah.
It's worth a shot. My biggest issue with CW shows is they just look so made for TV.
Yeah, they're cheesy, yeah.
And they're very tame. Especially, I think about, it's not a CW show, but I think about American Horror Story. I saw the trailer for that, I saw the premise, and I'm like, ooh, this is going to be gruesome, and this is on cable TV.
Yeah.
And then I watched it, and I'm like, this is kind of twee. I don't know. It's very tamed down. I'm looking for real horror, and I didn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the same thing with CW shows. I just don't see the grittiness in it, even though they try their best.
Yeah. When you talk about American Horror Story, it's like if you took a 17-year-old film student and say, hey, make a threesome scene. American Horror Story will give you the threesome scene that some 17-year-old film student in high school will have to make. It was like...
Yeah.
Ryan Murphy in particular has a really weird... I don't know if you guys feel this way about all his shows, but every single show of his I watch, it's always really strong until about episode 7. And then it just...
It always falls off. Well, every American Horror Story season climaxes at episode 5, and then the rest of the episodes feel unnecessary. It's really weird.
Yeah, it's really strange pacing.
I was excited about it when I first started watching it because I was like, this show's crazy, But it just always levels out and gets boring. Except I really, really dug Coven. I really dug it. I think that's the best season in my opinion. And then Hotel.
Second one.
Hotel, as much as I love staring at Lady Gaga, and I could pretty much stare at her for a 24-hour period. I definitely stan her, but and she was the best thing about she was the best thing about that season for sure. She's actually a pretty good actress. But that awesome. Hotel season was just painful.
Really,
I could not finish it. Yeah,
Coven is pretty popular. Is that's a common one that say that's the best. That's probably the best season on there. Mike Malone says.
What'd you say?
Oh, Covenant Asylum, I think for sure.
Yes, no, those are the two. Yep, Mylene's a huge American Horror Story fan and very disappointed on a lot of seasons, but Covenant and Asylum are the other two that she loves. Michael Malone says, I'm not sold yet on the new character angle they're doing. I'm a fan of the Batwoman comic, so it's hard to think of anyone else than Kate in the cowl. That's fair.
Valid.
I think that's what Ainsley was saying as well. That's what a lot of existing fans are having issues with, right? Is just seeing her go.
Well, going back to your Joker analogy, if you went to see a Joker movie and it was I don't know, it was he was like Dr. Roxo, from Metalocalypse, and he was a completely different character. He was a good guy, he didn't kill anybody, and he had big tufts. He's a brand new character. You can't really apply that. Well, it's great. It's a new character, so I don't have any preconceived notions. It would just be, it's not what I wanted. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So even though I don't necessarily agree in terms of Batwoman, for me, it's I'm willing to give it just as much of a chance either way. I already hate CW, so they should try whatever they could try. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I could see the disappointment. I think I'd be disappointed to go see the next Batman movie and it's not Bruce Wayne. It'd be like, huh? So I get it. And there's really no right way to think about that. Comic-Cons or Digital San Diego Comic-Con just released their list of panelists.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a little look at this. I'm going there right now. So
someone want to share screen on that web page, and then I'll blow them up. I'll make them big.
Make it big. It's in the chat. It's in the Skype. The Skype
I know.
chat.
Does one of you want to share screen?
I can do it, but I'm really bad at technology, so it's going to take me a moment.
I was hoping Rhii would show up because she's the super expert on sharing screens.
Can you, Rhii?
Yeah, I absolutely can. Just give me a second.
Cool.
Last time we were doing this
Spawn.
thing, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna try to superimpose, and she's like, do you want me to just share my screen? She's like, boop, boop. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I guess I'm an idiot.
So this one? That's this.
Yeah.
Boom.
So what we got here. So these are all the panelists. We got okay. We got some people that I've never heard of, which is cool because it'd be nice to get to know them.
Yep. Hey, look at this guy.
Brian
Bendis?
Michael Bendis.
I'm definitely watching.
And they have links to all of the panels too. That's so awesome.
That's rad.
You know they're gonna do like super chats and stuff like that. So make sure you're saved up so you can throw some cash down and get your answers and questions in.
Yeah.
Rodney fucking Barnes. If he
I
doesn't
heard-
mention our channel, I will be extremely offended.
You guys should after this live go check out our Rodney Barnes interview because he is.
He's another best friend of ours that he probably thinks of us daily.
Yeah.
I feel like
He's
does.
watching
probably
right now.
watching right
Yeah,
now.
he's absolutely watching right now.
Hey, Rodney.
He told his assistant to clear his schedule because he has to watch the show. David Bowles.
I shouldn't laugh so hard at that.
I could do.
We're
no
nobodies.
preparation- With no preparation, I could do a 2-hour TED talk about how great Brian Michael Bendis is. I won't, but
What would your topics be? Like, give us a little run through on the contents there.
well, I would talk about how he fundamentally changed the way comics are written, especially superhero comics, and how he sort of pioneered the whole self-awareness that's now ubiquitous
Nice.
in all comic book dialogue. The self-referential stuff, the sarcasm. He basically modernized the style of writing from like something very stuffy in like the 90s to something very relatable and like sarcastic and self-aware. And
This
also,
has been our second TED talk. Thank you for tuning in.
He actually lives here in Portland.
Real?
Wow.
Oh
Yeah.
my god!
I feel like, there's a lot of, David F. Walker of Bitter Root also lives here. There's a lot of, I feel like, especially Bendis is one of the reasons why comic books are so popular here.
oh yeah, I bet. That's awesome. Have you seen him walking around?
Yes. I have a funny story, but I'm not going to talk about it on here.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
We're
Tell-
not
tell it-
we're not
after
recording
we-
anymore. I just stopped recording. Tell the story. No, just kidding.
That's cool. I love him. I absolutely.
Aramis Murad says Terry McGinnis is the best Batman.
Ooh.
Michael Malone says
Interesting
Batman Beyond is freaking
opinion.
great. I love it. I agree, Aramis.
I'll say this: Terry McGinnis from Batman Beyond had the best theme song by Static X.
Nice.
Last, right?
Polly says Naomi team sounds like a treat.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, James Bond in comics. I'm definitely watching that.
Nice.
Ooh wee.
Greg Pak's Bond is awesome, and his what's it called? John Wick is awesome too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Solar
Nice.
Opposites. Have you guys seen Solar Opposites?
No,
No.
I heard it's good.
It's really good. It's really good.
I was like-
You just got to get past the voices, because if you just listen to the voice, you're like, oh, okay, this is a Rick and Morty ripoff. But if you just
A
get
look
past
inside-
that, it's gonna be great.
A look inside Marvel's 616. Ooh, his Dark Materials. So nice. Yeah, cool. These are good panels. These are definitely worth watching.
Dope.
I was very
So
excited
much.
about the ladies of Star Trek. That one looked
Yes.
That's awesome.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is great.
This is coming out soon, right?
Oh, that's gonna be a good one. They're gonna make a lot of money on Super Chat with that one.
Oh yeah.
Whoop, whoop.
This is
Oh,
so
man.
interesting. This is the post-COVID world. Like we get
Yeah,
excited about something.
so we talk about this a lot. When as we're going through this list right here, people talk about like, well, until we get through this, and et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, no, like I like the phrase
This
that
is-
most people are using. This is the new normal. This is how we're
Go
gonna have
back-
to do things.
Go up just a centimeter. Go up a couple inches. I just want to see the science of Star Trek.
You tried to talk in Australian, but Like, you know what? Just a couple inches. Just figure that out.
Nice. Okay, yeah, keep going. Sorry.
Crikey.
I saw the word Orville and I got excited because I love the Orville.
Metaphorical. Ooh, nice. Sorry, I'm embarrassed that it took me that long.
That show's still going.
Metaphorical Comics is in the chat. What's up? What's going on? Thank you for joining us.
We're just to catch anyone up who just joined. We're looking at all the Comic-Con panels for the digital San Diego Comic-Con.
Yep.
It's a lot.
Yep. You see our beautiful faces here in a second. Just heavy metal. I know you like that one. Mystery Science Theory 3000. What's up?
Oh shit! This is Dylan Sprouse is going to talk about his new Sun Eater book that I'm kind of intrigued by. It's being produced. So Heavy Metal Magazine is expanding into a publisher. They're going to start making their own like books and stuff, and I think that's pretty dope.
Oh, Sun Eater. So check this out. Michael was just talking about this earlier, saying that Sun Eater is that what he was talking about? He said it's free. Volume 1 is free on the internet. Let me scroll up to make sure this is what he was talking about.
Heavy Metal, Forging the Future of Genre. Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch that one. We talked to Kevin
Sunstone. Never mind. Sun Eater's the new one. I'm an idiot. We interviewed Kevin Eastman on that, so.
Yeah. He seemed a little reluctant to talk about heavy metal, and after doing some more research, I think I know why. It's because he lost a lot of money when he bought it, and now he's like a 10% share owner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ooh. This is where we're gonna hang out. I feel.
Most dangerous woman at Comic-Con.
What is that called? Making better heroin?
Building. What?
Girls on the bus. I've never seen it.
But look at that title. That's a dope title.
Wow, that was a
Is that it? That's good. That's good.
Crazy list.
Cool.
Wow.
Well, that'll be fun.
Me, take that off. Put Rhi on.
Big and me.
Boom. Oh, what happened? Oh, I messed up. I messed it up. Go ahead, just talk. I'll figure this out.
Just sound effect.
Okay, we're good. We're in. Back to normal. So this is what I was talking about. These are scenes right here, and I didn't have scenes set up, so I'm like turning off people's cameras. It looks super JV. Everyone watching is like, "What's this guy doing?" It's click, click, click.
So
I
got some pretty cool report. This is from a source. I have a friend who's embedded in the industry. I'm not going to mention his name, but this is a pretty reliable little tidbit. Is that very soon, Brian K. Vaughan is going to announce new sagas. So that's cool because it's about damn time.
Yeah, that's
How
awesome.
many more Lion Cat Funkos are you gonna get? 5?
All of them.
6?
All of them.
Save
All
some
of the Lion Cats
for the rest of us. Jeez.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, I've read I have all 9 saga trades. I've read them twice. Just one. Like, just in anticipation of new saga, just to hold me over during this interim period. Hey, kitty!
Oh, there's a cat.
Oh.
He can't hear you.
This
Stop.
is my old man Malcolm.
Malcolm.
That's
It's
awesome.
cute.
That's
Usually
awesome.
Coco's right here. No, whatever.
My fat cat is over there sleeping on the couch. So
Aw.
thanks, Metaphorical. I'm super embarrassed that I hate when people have names that are like obvious when I see them. So Metaphorical Comics is in the chat, and it's like Meta and then a number 4 and then Ickle, and I'm like
like
metal
Nosferatu.
metal. Oh, I'm stupid. Okay.
You gotta buy the beer Mickeys, and you gotta do a lot of the puzzles in the bottom of the caps, and that'll like train your brain just to look for stuff like that.
Metaphorical Comics he says you guys need to come on and sometimes so I can help you guys grow. So, all right, hey, send us an email,
Let's
DM
do it.
us.
I'll tell you
Get up.
with that.
Yeah, hey, if somebody want to throw in the chat our email, and then we could just throw that in there.
I'll do it.
God damn it,
Jennifer, yeah.
Fuck yeah. Got it. You said you also have a YouTube, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
What is your channel about? Like,
So right now I've just been since I and one of the many people who have a quarantine YouTube baby. So I started my YouTube channel during the quarantine.
This is us.
Right now, it's going over just some of my favorite series. So I have a review for Sandman. I have a review for Saga. My last one I just did for Bitter Root. So that's what my channel is about. I also do weekly live streams with, I co-host Longbox Paradox with my friend Dan. So I do that on a weekly basis and do a live stream, and then my other videos are a little bit more sporadic.
Okay,
Nice.
cool.
Yeah.
So if you guys are in the chat, head over to that. We'll put the links in the description, I hope, because I say that, and then I'm sure I've said that before and not done that, so this time I will.
Comic books will break your heart is a Jack Kirby quote, right?
Yes, it is. I mean, it's anecdotal. There's not really like, it wasn't in the time of Twitter. Like, it's not like he was tweeting like comics will break your heart. But it seems to be a reference, like he told someone looking to get into the industry, comics will break your heart, kid. So.
Nice.
Amen.
He definitely got abused. He definitely got abused by the industry for sure.
With a lot of, I know this isn't something that's been happening just recently, but especially thinking about a lot of the sexual harassment and the sexual abuse allegations in the industry, especially over the last month or so. Like, that's been breaking my heart in the comic books industry, and it's making me extremely nihilistic and just pessimistic about the industry, but I'm still here.
People suck.
Yeah,
that's the quote. People suck, especially dudes.
We talked to Heather. Yeah. We talked to Heather about it a little bit, and some of the things she was bringing up. It's really a top-down publisher thing. Like, the publisher sets the work culture. And it's also a matter of scouting. It's like there's this myth, this really harmful, prevalent myth that you're going to get a job in comics if you hang out with these people at bars and get a shithoused with them.
Yep,
and that's misleading. It's not really how it works. It just creates this den of abuse and this environment where desperate young people are getting manipulated by older, more established people. So having gone to conventions a lot, and like even when I thought that I was gonna like do writing and stuff like that, like I felt like that's what I had to do, like as a rite of passage to try to do it. Like, you're just gonna like, rub up against someone in the industry, and like I've met people and just had like fun times, but I think that that's perpetuated by the people in power, that you have to do that in order to get in. I think that there's like a couple things that the industry can do to stop it, but I don't know if they're willing to do it yet. So one thing Heather brought up that I thought was really interesting is comics is the only industry that doesn't have a professional networking apparatus.
Right. They
Comic-Con,
piggyback on the Comic Cons,
service, and network. But there's this like there's this mistake that like so like you look at like Motley Crue and they have their groupies and they're like constantly banging groupies, and they have like this whole rock star thing where people that show up to a Motley Crue concert and go backstage, they're not looking for a job in the rock and roll industry. You know what I mean? They're looking to hang out with rock stars and maybe bang them. But that's not what Comic-Con is. The people that show up to the bar to talk to writers, they're not showing up to the bar to go bang writers. They're showing up to the bar because they want to maybe show them their work, maybe get some mentorship or guidance, or do you know what I mean? And it sucks that they're still treated like Motley Crue groupies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I would say that even most people are professional enough to know the difference too. Like I bet you that, well, fucking who knows if this actually happens or not, but if you have somebody like Motley Crue and you have people that like, kind of all-girl rock band that wants to get into the industry, it would be totally different to try and use their desire to enter the industry to get into bed with them than it would be for a groupie. And that's where I agree with you 100%. Writers sometimes can't tell the difference because they're a piece of shit.
I think that
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you.
We're probably going to say something similar, to be honest. Like, I was going to disagree with Judah's rock metaphor, because you do have people with tapes and CDs going backstage wanting some of that stuff, and it gets interwoven, right? Yeah, like any artistic industry is undervalued and has been a boys' club for the last 100 years. So I feel like now that we're hearing more about it, it's easy for me to go down the same route that Jennifer was talking about, where you become more nihilistic. You're like, fuck, is any creator that I like not a molesting asshole? And you go through these, like, you know, patches of feeling enraged that you've enjoyed work by these people that are now turning out to be shitty. But my mum says to me when I'm feeling low that, like, it's a time where people can, like, come together on the internet in this group. Like, you had, what was it, like 70 women or something about Warren Ellis coming together and finding each other. And 20 years ago, that never would have happened. So it's kind of nice in a sense that it's all bubbling to the surface as shitty as it is to witness.
Yeah, we're just not tolerating it anymore. Yep.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I think that there's a couple. I mean, I don't necessarily have the perspective of someone like Heather Antos, who's, like, in the industry and could be a change maker, but I think that there's a lot of things that can be, at least 4 or 5 things that can be done in the industry. Like, in my, like, Jennifer world, where I imagine that it wouldn't happen, like, is there a way we can establish a guild, like a writers guild or some type of union that, you know, Marvel, DC, Image say, we're only going to contract people in this union. And if you're accused of sexual assault or, you know, any allegations, like, you're out of the union, you're out of work. Can we have something like that? Because we don't necessarily, not that that's ever saved anyone in the movie making industry, because obviously it's prevalent there. And a lot of comic book shops are also asking, you know, the diamond distributors or publishers, what happens to all of my toxic stock? Like, I'm probably not going to sell a lot of my stock of Warren Ellis books and Cameron Stewart books, and now they're just dead inventory. Like, is there a time frame that I can give them back to you and get my money back? So I think that there's a couple things that the industry can do to curb this a little bit.
Yeah.
You're muted. You're muted.
And you're muted.
If there's a cost to the people at the top, like a dollar amount like that, that will fucking curb that shit.
That's right. That's right.
Because now they have an invested interest in making sure that it's a safe work environment.
We said that in the last interview with you know, we keep referencing Heather Antos because I think that was, like, the first interview that we were able to really engage somebody in the industry about it. But it was the, I hate to say it, but everything, whether it's Black Lives Matter or Me Too, we're forcing a change by affecting the bottom line. And that's really the only way that's ever going to change. And so, you know, we don't need to, like, have a debate or anything, but for me, I was just on Twitter this morning talking about cancel culture. And I'm like, you know what cancel culture is? Cancel culture is not waiting 40 years like Bill Cosby for justice to be done. That's what cancel culture is. Cancel culture is looking at you and saying, hey, guess what? Everything that you did was within the confines of the law. But as a consumer, I get to gather with other consumers and go, don't give a fuck. I'm still not tolerating it. And that's what, you know what I mean? And if that group, if you are fringe, if I'm offended that by your lettering, you know what I mean? And you know, well, maybe I can only convince one other person. And guess what? I can't affect the bottom line. Well, maybe I need to readjust. But people are moving together using current technology to go, fuck you. What you did was legal, but I'm still not buying your shit. And watch what happens at the top.
Yeah.
And the sad truth about cancel culture is that we think it's this modern thing, but cancel culture has been happening to these women in the industry that have been sexually abused and sexually harassed. And a lot of these allegations have been happening for decades now, like especially with Warren Ellis, that's been happening for decades. And a lot of those women were canceled because they spoke up about it.
That's right.
Have you
It's only called cancel culture now. It's outside of these marginalized groups.
Before it's blacklisted. Before it's don't hire that woman because when you slap her on the ass, she's gonna say something. So they get to cancel her and ruin her career. But now it's them holding consequence. Yeah, 100%.
That's Rose McGowan. You know,
Do you
after
remember
she wanted to come out up against Harvey Weinstein, she was completely blacklisted. So cancel culture has been happening, but now it's just happening to the people in power.
Boom.
Do you remember what Barbara Walters? Remember what Barbara Walters said to Corey Feldman when he was talking about like the abuse that he suffered as a kid, like working as a kid in the movie industry? And they're like on the show, and he's talking about it, and he's talking about like, yes, there are pedophiles in Hollywood. There are lots of pedophiles in Hollywood. And Barbara Walters on fucking national television looks at him, and she's like, you know, you're like destroying the movie industry right now. I'm like, holy shit!
Mind
you know what I
fucking-
mean?
Why
down.
would you want to
Burn it
keep
down.
that?
Burn that shit down. Man, that has been my quote, especially since
Like
the
this-
protest. Fuck it, burn it down.
This dude's spilling his guts. He's spilling his guts on national television, talking about like the worst
How
thing in his life,
brave
and
is
that's
that?
the
Yeah.
best.
Let me tell you
The best she
something.
can do is tell him.
The fucking planet owes. Man, I wish we were a bigger fucking brand, because I would love to say it's on national fucking TV. The planet fucking owes Corey Feldman the biggest fucking apology ever. Fucking ever. And I'm telling you, that includes me. I was absolutely not gonna tap dance or mitigate anything. I made fun of Corey Feldman like completely. Like, oh my god, this guy's fucking crazy and this and that, and like, okay, we touched you. And then you come across it, and I am ashamed and embarrassed. Like, I'm like, oh my god, you know. And you know what's funny is, as a brown dude, as a Puerto Rican dude, there are people, especially during right now in today's culture with Black Lives Matter, where a lot of Caucasian people are like, oh my god, I had no idea. And as a brown dude, I'm like, this is not new. This is not 2020. This is forever. Yeah. I'm glad people are coming around, but like Black and Latino people are like, oh, finally. And so now I feel like a part of that group. I can understand, because I'm like, I looked at Corey Feldman and laughed. Male rape? Whatever. God, dude.
Have you read, any of you read Freedom is a Constant Struggle by Angela Davis?
No.
No.
It's obviously not comic book related, not anything related, but Angela Davis has been an activist for decades, and she this book talks about how and it really opened up my mind about social injustice and how they're all interconnected. So the Palestinian freedom movement is directly tied to racial injustice here, as well as the prison industrial complex, as well as the military industrial complex, and racism and misogyny, and it's all connected. And if we can just get at this foundation, and we're going to have to destroy the foundation to build a better world. And it's like a tree. So we're not going to solve these injustices by, snipping off a limb here and snipping off a limb here. It's got to be the whole tree. I highly recommend Freedom is a Constant Struggle. And it's a pretty small book. It's a really easy read.
Yeah, 100%. Hey, Judah, what's the saying? I'm sorry. What was the saying? It relates to that. The Jewish saying about if they come for if
they come for black people in the morning, they're gonna come for the Jews in the evening.
That's right.
Something like that.
Everything
it's the
is
concept
interwoven.
of solidarity.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Rhi?
Just that Jennifer with Malcolm behind her looks like a straight up magical witch goddess. So everything you say has
this is a scene out of Sabrina.
He's staring me dead in the eyes. I keep looking up and making eye contact with him, and I'm like wow.
Sabrina's kind of ruined me, because every time he looks, like he's gonna say something. He's about to say something.
He's ready with the quip.
So
he's so cute.
The last news item that I have here is that, and this is, I'm kind of excited about this. So we're not getting a Sandman movie, we're not getting a Sandman show, but we're getting an audio drama, and I'm kind of excited for it.
Oh, like one of those podcast movie things?
Yeah.
Okay.
We are getting a Sandman on Netflix. I believe that's still going through, but yes, the audiobook is coming out.
Okay, so we are getting a Sandman on Netflix?
Yes, it was supposed to be in production right before the quarantine, like everything was kind of like ready to go. So it's been
one day ago.
Sandman has been in production limbo hell for decades now, but it does look like it's moving forward on Netflix. But I'm very excited about the audiobook because Kat Dennings' death
Oh, nice.
makes my heart beat.
So
Robo, you
GeekTyrant.com, just so I'm not stealing their shit, go to GeekTyrant.com. Neil Gaiman says, this is posted yesterday, Neil Gaiman says Netflix's Sandman series will be updated for the 21st century. Neil Gaiman's seminal comic book series, The Sandman, is getting a couple of adaptations for the fans to enjoy. There's an audio book format of the story coming to Audible, as well as a live-action series being produced for Netflix.
So you talk about going in with expectations and like
Yeah,
you know having a different Batwoman is like good because then you have no expectations because she's a new character. Going into any type of Sandman adaptation, I got a lot of expectations.
It's kind of like a Watchmen, right? Right?
Yeah.
It's like this very cult classic. Die-hard fans like you better get this right. And I'll tell you, red flag number 1, they're gonna make it part of the 21st century. And
Jennifer, who's your favorite Endless?
Who is my favorite what?
Endless.
Death.
and I was gonna say, and why is it Death?
So Death, honestly, like Neil Gaiman was one of my favorite writers growing up, and American Gods was like my favorite book, hands down. I did not love the show, so that was one of those that I went in with such high expectations because it's one of my favorites. I have a feeling the same thing's going to happen with Netflix, but I know that I'm just going to go in as a fan because Sandman is one of my favorite series ever.
Check this out. So you have this trade, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take a look at this.
He accidentally rips it.
Ooh.
That's great.
That's
Neil
beautiful.
Gaiman. That's awesome.
Hey, Aaron, that's my real name, by the way. Aaron.
Do you think that's gonna be like? So I don't know how you are in past adaptations. Do you think it'll be harder for you to enjoy the Netflix series if you're a diehard fan and already know why you love it? Like, is it hard for you to enjoy adaptations when they change it? Either one of you guys.
I mean,
all of you guys.
You have to understand. You have to understand about Sandman, and I think Jennifer will agree with me. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's one of those things that it's not just that people like it. There are people where it's one of the most important stories they've ever heard. It occupies a place in people's hearts. Like it is. I would say beyond Watchmen. Like there are people who love Watchmen, but there are people whose emotional intelligence, at its very basic roots, it has Sandman. You know what I mean?
Let's start a religion around Sandman. I'm down.
I'm sure it exists. It already exists.
Yeah.
But so people going.
It's $1,000 buy-in, by the way. I'm sorry.
I think the chances of people not being disappointed by an adaptation are incredibly small because of how much the material means to each individual person. Yeah.
It's also something that they've been trying to make for 30 years and failed at. You know, like anything is good at this point.
That's
like
right.
we just want to see something. Yeah.
And Neil Gaiman's even said that he'd rather see no Sandman being made than a bad one. So the fact that this has his blessing and that he's saying all of this, like it gives me a lot of hope. And to me, it's almost like if they update it for the 21st century and they actually have a cast of Endless that look like the reality around us. Like if it casts people of color, if it casts non-binary, if it does that, I'm all there for it. Now, is it going to make, is it going to do the, I don't know, millennialification where like...
Probably. It's Netflix, right?
The kids are tweeting on their phone or whatever. Like that would bother me more than the cast looking different. Like that is a non-issue to me.
Although Ruby Rose would be perfect as Desire.
Oh, 100%.
That would be dope.
Even though Tilda Swinton to me is that one.
Because she's so androgynous.
Exactly. So if I could almost see it being even several different actors and actresses, or people.
I could see that.
One thing that I would hope that they would change is the conversation around despair, because in the comics they show just
this big fat kinda...
a fatter person, and I don't necessarily think that to me, like if they were going to
let's not relegate
Yeah.
Let's not relegate obesity to the realm of depression.
100%.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, that
like
makes
maybe
sense.
they could cast our president as despair because that's what I feel like.
Yeah.
That's my.
And we're like,
I can't watch
fair.
a show where I have to stare at that fucking
Yeah,
guy.
true.
Yeah. So
what do you-
Kieran
about-
Gillen says something really awesome. He goes, and it was actually kind of surprising because I'm so used to people like, no, that's not my show. That's not my Watchmen. Kieran Gillen goes, because he was talking about what was it? What's the one that they're looking? Oh no, he didn't say. That's right. He goes, there is, huh? Maybe Wick did. Well, because I asked him, is there anything in the works for an adaptation that you can tell us? And he was like, nah, not really. But he goes, I said, would you? How do you? Oh, it was about Wick Dev. You're right. Sorry. I said, how would you see this Netflix adaptation? Assuming, right? Not asking you to give us any details because he already said no. And he goes, you know what? Honestly, I think if TV adaptations are exactly like the books, then what's the point? He goes, I don't see the point. So he doesn't get super like, oh, that's not the way it was in the book. Now I'm reading into it, by the way. Like he didn't say all these words, but it seemed like he was saying, everything doesn't have to be word for word like the book, or maybe overarching storyline, but the show's gonna be different. And if you don't like the show, read the book.
So I'm somewhere in between on that. Like for me, they could tell a whole new Sandman story that we've never seen, but if they get the spirit of the books right, then that's good enough for me.
But that's so subjective, right?
On the flip side, they could get the story exactly right. They could completely reproduce the story, but if they get the spirit wrong, I'm still going to dislike it. You know what I mean? So really, what matters the most to me is that the characters are true to themselves. That's where I'm inflexible. As far as the story, I don't care, man. Make it a whole new story,
Yeah, right.
So,
Any of you going to listen to the 100 hours of Audible that's coming out for it? Yeah? Nice.
Yeah.
Is it an audible version of the books? Is that what it is, or is it a retelling?
That's what it said.
Okay,
Yeah.
No, I'll just read. I'll read. I'll read the
World
actual graphic
Worlds.
novels. I suck at reading books because there's no pictures. But if I can't read a graphic novel and I need the audible book, then I have other problems. I have a different level of problems.
cool. All right, guys. Well, we're at we're at an hour and 45 minutes. I think.
Yeah.
We can go ahead and.
Michael Malone, he wants us, so in our Facebook groups, I would say the main community that we have is we have some stuff on Discord. We're hoping to grow that. We'll put links in the description. We have Reddit. We have a lot of stuff, but our focus of our community is Facebook, and we have our page, but we also have a ton of groups. And like our Marvel one is obviously the biggest one, Marvel and DC. And then we have an indie books. We have a brand new one for Valiant Comics. But we also have this line called IFLC Presents, right? And so it's not really about comics. We have IFLC Presents video games, cinephiles, and one that is our smallest one, but it's actually probably one of the most interesting is Book Lovers. And Michael Malone is admin and moderator of Book Lovers. So I know we talked about Angela Davis's book. Like if you join Book Lovers and want to talk about Angela Davis's book, that would be the one. We have a Book Lovers group that we would love to grow. Also, I don't know if you guys noticed, but me and Judah are wearing probably some of the most badass shirts I've ever seen in my life. His is a dark blue, mine is a black, and Rhii is probably, hers is in the mail, I'm sure, or she's boycotting capitalism. I don't know, but
all of the above.
Yeah. But we have a Teespring. We have a Teespring store. One funny thing that we were talking about, we had this argument in Facebook where we were talking about how unrealistic it is that Damian Wayne has the power and the strength to punch a bad guy, swords and
to defeat fully grown men,
fully grown ninjas at that. Swords and ninja stars, I'm totally okay with. Guns, I'm totally okay with. This 10-year-old's punching people, and Judah comes in and he goes, and I don't want to mess up the quote. Do you remember the quote verbatim?
I don't remember it verbatim, but I said something along the lines of, and I wasn't trying to be ironic, but I said, I'm fully confident that nowhere in the world does there exist a 10-year-old who I can't beat the shit out of.
Yeah. It's actually one of our best sellers. We threw that quote, put it on a shirt. And if you
that
want to
t-shirt's
walk,
one of our best sellers.
if you want to walk around with a quote that says that you could beat the shit out of any 10-year-old, by the way, disclaimer: that quote is not just about Damian Wayne. It's about 10-year-olds. So don't
Any 10-year-old.
Any 10-year-old.
Any 10-year-old.
Yeah,
which just happens to include Damian Wayne. And so check out our Teespring and we also have a Patreon. I'm gonna let you talk about it real quick, Rhi. But what Rhi's about to tell you about on the plug for our sex positive show, it's so good. It's so raunchy, right? Not in a. It's actually raunchy in an educational way. Like I don't think we got. It wasn't gratuitous. It was really just talking about literature. But the images that we had to show are out there. Dicks, cum, all that stuff.
Vaginas, cum.
I cannot find a place to host this video. So it will be available on Patreon. If you just check out our Patreon, it will be available to all patrons. Tina Horn is on this show, and we talk about sex positivity. You want to just plug it real quick, Rhi, as if I didn't already ruin it?
Exactly what you said. It's a good time. Come watch it. It says come everywhere.
As soon as I come watch it, as soon as I find a place to host it, we're trying to get. So check this out. We're trying to get verified on Pornhub. That's where I'm at right now. So once IFLC, I freaking love comics, will get verified on Pornhub, I'm going to host the link there. Unlisted, of course, because it's also part of a fundraiser, and 50% of all proceeds that we get from that video will go to mutual aid for sex workers of color, run by Venus Cuffs, and so we do want to make a little bit of money off that, especially towards the fundraiser part. So we'll list it unlisted on Pornhub, and then all patrons will have access to that, and then for a 90-day period. 50% of all of our profits will go towards that fundraiser. So, does anybody else have anything to add? Would you like to plug anything, Jen?
The only thing that I want to plug is if you enjoyed any of my rants that I went on, please feel free to find me on my personal channel of Comics Will Break Your Heart. And then I do my weekly live stream with my friend Dan at Longbox Paradox on YouTube. So that's where you can find me. And you can find me shitposting on Instagram, and where I'm doing my 100 graphic novel challenge. So you can find me on Instagram. I have a Patreon as well, but it's super small. So you'll get updates there, and then my Goodreads.
Awesome.
And all those socials will be in the description of this video.
100%. 100%. All right, guys. Until next time, take it easy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching IFLC. Please subscribe, ring the bell, and be free. Follow our links and watch our show because you want to and not because of the threats. Thank you for watching Judah, Robo, and Rhiiiii. We talk about comics, movies, and TV. Sometimes we have notable guests, and sometimes it's just us. But we're also cool.